Hello, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you for joining me on the Stay at Home show. Um, a little bit of housekeeping items for those of you watching who are my students. I hope that soon we're going to be able to start something that works like an online class. Uh, I'm hoping that soon we're going to be able to start something that works like an online class. And in that case, this show will have a little bit of a name change, maybe, and I don't know when the name change will come, but the content will change a little bit, maybe, and maybe I'll get a little bit less learning oriented and more creative oriented. But for now, we have some things that I'm going to share with you here. Let me just see. In the first segment, I'm going to share with you a poem that I found by one of my favorite poets, Robert Frost. He was so amazing. His work is so amazing, and this is a kind of a new work to me. So I'm going to be happy to share it with you. And we're going to talk about some stuff related to our current situation and why it's okay to go outside, why it's okay to go and get some sunshine, and how it's safe, or how to be safe going to get some sunshine. To start us out, I have right here, whoops, sorry about that, I have right here a website called poets.org. You'll be able to find any links in the description. And we are going to take a look at a poem by Robert Frost called Now Close the Windows. This is nice. It is very short. It feels to me like this is a poem about the autumn heading into winter, or about being in winter, but it's just funnily convenient. It's funny and convenient for our time right now when we should all be in some social isolation. Here we go. Now Close the Windows by Robert Frost. Now close the windows and hush all the fields. If the trees must, let them silently toss. No bird is singing now, and if there is, be it my loss. It will be long ere the marshes resume. It will be long ere the earliest bird. So close the windows and not hear the wind, but see all wind stirred. I like that. I like that. It's so nice. It's so straight. It's such a beautiful picture. When we close the windows, we can't hear anything through the windows, so we're hushing the field, and the trees are tossing back and forth silently, and no bird is singing, presumably because of wind, and if there is, it is my loss. We could spend more time reading into that, but I don't want to make this session all about poetry, so we won't. But there's something sad in there that maybe if a bird is singing, he has lost something from losing the silence, maybe. And it will be long before the marshes resume. A marsh, this is my thinking on what he means here. A marsh is similar to a swamp. If you go to the Irving Nature Park, you'll see a salt marsh there. And marshes are just filled with life. They're just buzzing with life. And now in the winter, they're all quiet and still. And it will be long before the earliest bird. So close the windows and don't listen. Close the windows and don't hear the wind, but see everything that is wind stirred or pushed around and moved by the wind. Oh, Robert Frost, you lovely, lovely man. Dead now for 57 years, but he died an old man, 89 years old. That's pretty good. So enough of Mr. Robert Frost. Wrong direction. Enough of Mr. Robert Frost. Now I want to talk about an article from CTV News. I believe I made a mistake in my description. I totally made a mistake in my description, and the link is described as being CBC News, but in fact it is CTV, not CBC. That doesn't matter though, the link is still the correct link for this article. Can I go for a walk during a global pandemic? Good question. Toronto, going for a walk. Now, as we read this, let us keep in mind that Toronto is a much busier, more crowded area than where we live. Toronto, going for a walk is widely known to reduce stress and relieve anxiety. But government officials, I'm skipping ahead a little bit. I'm trying to highlight. It won't let me highlight. There we go. But with government officials ordering Canadians to stay indoors and practice physical distancing is the new term. The WHO doesn't like social distancing because you can call somebody and be social that way. But whatever, wordplay. With government ordering Canadians to stay indoors, many are left wondering, is it safe to go for a walk? The answer is yes and no. Let's see. He admits there is nothing wrong with going outside for a walk. Chakrabarti advises people, this is Dr. Suman Chakrabarti who gave this interview with CTV. Chakrabarti advises people to do so only with those of the same household and stay close to home. This minimizes exposure to the virus. It gives you very little exposure. Now, when it says stay close to home, this is in Toronto where everywhere around you is city. Everywhere around you is places where people are going in a place like Toronto. A place where everywhere around you is places where people are. So for example, he says here, you see everyone going for a walk in downtown Toronto, and this defeats the purpose. This means the whole thing of us shutting everything down is to stop people from being together in groups. But if everybody goes walking in the same place, then that's a group. The doctor said he goes on walks with his wife and 2 daughters, but they only go as far as up and down the street. He advises others to do the same or travel around the block. Most importantly, people should keep a distance of 2 meters from other people. And here, it's not that the walk is inherently bad. There's nothing bad about going out for a walk. It's the potential or the possibility for everybody to be doing it at the same time. That's the problem. The main goal is to be distanced from the people who are not in your household. So there's not a danger of going outside. There's a danger of being around large groups of people. Those practicing physical distancing or under quarantine with no symptoms are able to go outside. But those who are self-isolating and symptomatic, if somebody is sick, they should not leave the house. That is the key difference. If somebody is showing symptoms of something, they should not leave the house. If you are not showing symptoms of a sickness, it's fine to leave the house. Just don't be around other people. Don't be around groups of people. Suggestions for physical activity include walking or running at a safe distance from others, as long as government guidelines allow for it. So this is all we're going to do. I'm just going to do this again because this is the same message. There's no danger if someone who is self-isolating goes for a walk outside and stays 2 meters away from others. Going outside and being active should be encouraged. So this is an article from Toronto, but now let's take a look at a BBC article. BBC article. Let's take a look at a BBC article about US and Canada generally. BBC is a British website. Let's see. We're talking here about the US, UK, and Canada. So now we're specifically talking about a much bigger range, about a much larger area than just the Toronto area. And so now we'll see some descriptions of things that are not, we'll see some descriptions of things that are not just about busy, crowded areas and how to walk safely there, but something that is closer to our area. So let's see. This is also talking about shaming or people attacking or yelling at somebody who is not, or posting on social media negative things about people who are not social distancing. But we are all social distancing, so that's no problem. This is the part we want to take a look at. Can I still go for a walk? The official advice can be confusing. On one hand, we've been told to stay home. On the other hand, we've been told that it's important to keep exercising and that a walk or run in the park is okay. In New York, now New York is a super crowded place, the City Parks Commissioner Mitchell Silver encouraged residents to use the city's large number of parks, pointing out that spending time outdoors can reduce your stress and boost your immune system. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson has stressed that parks and open spaces are crucial, they're very important for our country and for our society, and urged people to use them responsibly. So be in a nice outdoor natural area, but don't be around a lot of people, be around a few people. He says here, but when the parks become too popular or people start gathering there in groups, it gets problematic. It becomes a problem. And so here we are talking about places where people are gathering in too large groups and people getting upset about that. This is too many people. See, they are all spaced out, fine. But if you're walking and there's this many people in the area, then you shouldn't be in that area. And also, these people at the bottom are spaced out, but if you look in the background, there's pretty large groups here. Like this one group alone is probably more than our maximum gathering size of 10 people. Let's see. Going outside can be a risk every time you do it, but there are ways to reduce the risk to close to zero. If you're outside walking by yourself, you're not exposed. If you're out walking the dog by yourself, there's no risk. It's when you have contact with other people that you should be concerned. Running or cycling as a group. There we go. Running or cycling as a group and running past others is a no-go because you must maintain 2 meters distance at all times. So if you're running as a group, you're going to be closer than 2 meters. And here, if you're running past somebody and they sneeze, that's going to land on you. It doesn't matter how fast you're running, you can't outrun a sneeze. Instead, he recommends runners and cyclists look ahead, pace themselves or set their own speed so they can work out how to keep a distance between themselves and others on the street. Here's some information that we're going to just skip over, but useful. How to protect your mental health. That might be worth taking a look at some point. It's also important to think carefully about where you go. As soon as there are large numbers, the risks go up. So that's what we've been talking about repeatedly. Just having a bunch of people there makes it tougher to keep a distance. It's harder to stay 2 meters away if there's a lot of people, and especially entry points and things like gates. If everybody leaves through the same entrance, even if you're 2 meters away from people, everybody is entering and exiting through the same one space. So don't go where people tend to congregate. Congregate means gathering together. But walk through quieter places like your own neighborhood. What is the etiquette for social distancing? Etiquette is like the social rules. They're not really rules, but they're the things that describe what people think of as polite and as rude. When I walk my dog in my neighborhood, if someone's coming and I don't see them moving, I move off onto the grass, or I'll wait on the driveway for them to pass. Oh my. Basically, that just means get out of people's way when you're walking. And I think that's a really important, polite etiquette thing to do anyway, and it drives me crazy that a lot of people don't do it. Like, make room for others as you're moving. Give them half of the sidewalk. In this case, because of social distancing, this woman, who is Lizzie Post, says that if they don't step 2 meters away, she will step 2 meters away. This would feel rude in normal circumstances. Yeah, because you're getting right off the sidewalk. But in normal circumstances, step to the right-hand side of the sidewalk. And if you're walking 2 people side by side, oh my goodness, if you're walking 2 people side by side, one person, especially the person who's walking on the left, should slow down and step behind the other person. I see it all the time. It drives me crazy. The big way to communicate you're not trying to be rude is to make eye contact or smile. The smile is important. Making eye contact on its own doesn't deliver enough of an information, enough of a message. So eye contact and a nod, or eye contact and a smile. Turn your face away from someone if you have to pass them in close quarters. Okay, I think this is all. We're not going to get into a lot of detail about shaming. Shaming is not a thing. Shaming is not a thing that I enjoy. It is not a topic that I enjoy, and so I'm not going to address it here, but rather we're just going to skip by it. And let's come back to me. Hello. So this about wraps it up for this segment. We're going to do another segment here in about 20 minutes. That'll be coming up at 5:40. And at 5:40, I'm going to be sharing with you, this way, I'm going to share with you this book, Tales from Outer Suburbia, by Australian writer Sean Tan. This book is really amazing. I really love it. This guy has written a ton of stuff. I've only read this, and I've seen a picture book, a book with no writing in it. I've seen in our local library. The guy is really amazing, and I'll be happy to share this book with you 20 minutes from now in the Stay at Home Show segment 2. So please join me again for that at 5:40. I'm very thankful that you have joined me for this one, and that's it. I will see you in about 20 minutes.